Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about, are you a nervous medical coding test taker? Watch this. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So, a lot of people are taking their exams or getting ready to take their exams for medical coding right now. I know because I've been getting a lot of emails from people. And they send me emails panicking about the most smallest things ever. And before you say, well, Blue, maybe it's not so small to them. Guys, listen to me when I say this. They are panicking about modifiers, of all things. Modifiers. I've gotten 3 messages specifically about modifiers. Medical coding modifiers. You're about to sit for a medical coding certification exam, and that's what you're worried about is the modifiers. While modifiers are very important, they are a small part of the overall medical coding exam. And what happens when you freak yourself out about a small thing, like one subject that is not going to matter either way whether you pass this test. What is going to matter if you're going to take a test, whether you're sitting for the American Health Information Management Association credentials, the CCS, the gold standard of medical coding credentials, the CCA or the CCSP, or if you're sitting with AAPC and you're sitting for the CPC exam, the modifiers are a very small portion of these tests. And let me remind all of you that these are multiple choice exams. So again, why you are so panicked about a small thing like modifiers is beyond me, other than the fact that you may be trying to self-sabotage. You know, that's the thing when you're an adult student going back to school and then you're about to sit for an exam. Then you start thinking about all the ways how you are a nervous test taker. I've been hearing that lately too. And that drives me crazy because, guys, if you are such a nervous test taker, oh, I always fail. Guess what's listening? Guess what's listening? Your brain. Your brain is saying that I'm a nervous test taker. I always fail. I always fail. So your brain's like, okay, we're a nervous test taker and we always fail. Rather than you doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is studying with the workbooks. Blue, what workbooks do you recommend? In the description box below of all of my videos. I've even done several videos about breaking it down as far as like, okay, these are the workbooks that I use and actually showing you the workbook. And now you can get the current versions of those books. And I'm not going to say the titles because the titles are in the description box below. So if you want to get some extra practice in, that's what you want to do. And asking me about what are the specific things that people need to focus on for their exams, the coding. Are you practicing coding? Are you working through workbooks? Are you working with your flashcards? Are you doing all of those things? Instead of being so preoccupied with your panic. Because that's not going to do you any good. You know, panicking and self-doubt and self-sabotage are the thief of dreams. Now, when I say these things to you all, and of course it's going to offend somebody, because somebody's got to have their feelings hurt every single time. But if you are the type that gets your feelings hurt, you're always going to have your feelings hurt, regardless of whatever I say. I could say the most upbeat, encouraging, positive things, and some of it may be true for you, and some of it may not be true for you, and you'd still not be happy. Guys, this is about real life. And I am about giving you all this information that's going to help you if you listen. Now, people ask me, well, can you talk about modifiers? You know how many freaking videos I've done about modifiers alone? I've done an entire playlist. A few Christmases ago, I did Vlogmas, and I did the whole thing about modifiers, and I broke each one of them down, and I left links in the description box of all the resources that are out there. And you know, those are some of the lowest viewed videos that I have. But I make a video like this, and I got views for days. But I make specific videos about modifier 25, modifier 59, modifier 51, and on and on and on. And nothing. Hardly no views. And I don't pay for views, okay? There are people who pay for views. I know, because I always get those fools that come up to me. Oh, we can pay, we can do all these views for you. No, all of my views are organic. All of my subscribers are organic, because I believe that if the message is going to get out there, it's going to reach the right person. They're going to subscribe. They're going to tell their friends about it. Their friends are going to subscribe, and then on and on and on. And all of my views are genuine. I don't need to hype up my channel for nothing, okay? My channel does well on its own by itself. That I will say. But that's how you curb your worry, guys. You start doing your research instead of just panicking. Why are you panicked? It's just a test. And guess what? If you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're studying 20 hours per week, 3.5 hours per day for 5 days, that's 17.5 hours. Then you have 2.5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday, and there's your 20 hours. And don't you dare neglect those 2.5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday, because if you do, then you're going to cheat yourself out of 10 hours of study. And you may think that that's not such a big deal, Blue. 10 hours is a big deal. Because when it comes to your speed and being able to look things up in the book and being able to get through the book efficiently, that's going to make all the difference in the world. The person who's spending that extra 10 hours in, right? They're the ones that's going to be more proficient. If you are studying 20 hours per week, you will not feel worried about going into that room, because this will be just another day for you. This will be covering material that you already know. This will be covering material that you've studied in and out time and time again. But it's those people that are looking for the shortcuts that they have the excuse of, oh, well, no, I'm a bad test taker. No, there are no bad test takers. There are not. If you are studying, you are not a bad test taker. You will be able to get through those questions. If you're with AEPC, it's 2 minutes 40 seconds per question. With AHEMA, it's roughly a little over 2 minutes per question, maybe 2 minutes 10 seconds per question now. So, I mean, that's just the average per question. Now, not all questions are going to take you that long. Some of them you're going to know exactly which answer to select, and other ones you're going to have to look up, in your books and things like that. You will have your books with you. That's the other thing, that I don't know why y'all are panicking, because y'all have your books with you. The answers are there in the book. The biggest thing is knowing how to navigate the book. I cannot say this enough. And again, I have showed y'all several videos. I have demonstrated it so many times about looking up codes, how to understand the keys at the bottom, like where it has all of the symbols and things like that, and opening up and showing y'all the CPT manual and all of the appendixes in the back that will help you. And a lot of you will still write to me and tell me, I didn't know those appendixes were there. How long have you been studying medical coding? Now, this is not a session for me to just rant on you. I'm not. What I am telling you is that all the worry that you have for these tests is unnecessary. You're stressing yourself out. And for what? So that you can fail? So that you can, you see, I was right, I failed. No. You have to start believing in yourself. You have to look at what you're doing. If you know that you're not spending the time studying like you're supposed to, you need to find a way. And it doesn't matter if you have a full-time job. People will tell me, I work 40 hours per week. And then I'll have other people tell me, I have 40 hours, I work 40 hours per week, and I have a family and kids, and I do all of these things, and I still made the time because I did what you said, Blue. I studied 20 hours per week, and I passed my test. I do this to help you guys. All of the videos that I have on my channel that are explaining things, that are going over injuries and things like that, injury coding and things. Again, barely any views. I don't know why y'all don't watch those videos. I don't. I think I'm like, okay, I show it to y'all, but okay, But again, guys, when you're worried about your test, think about why you're worried. Is this self-sabotage, or do you know that you are just not prepared? If you're not prepared, what is the answer? to study 20 hours per week. What is the bulk of these medical coding certification exams? The bulk of these medical coding certification exams is the coding knowledge and skill. That is the bulk of all of these exams. And then, of course, there's your reimbursement things. But reimbursement, you should know based on your program or based on the independent study that I have out there. I have references about the reimbursement portion of the test. I will still get emails asking for specific links. No, I will not give it to you because I've already given it to you guys. I've already shown you guys which ones I recommend. I've gone over that list for self-study several times. I'm not going to do it anymore, guys. I won't, because the information is there. It's out there. And I feel like when I explain it again and again, I'm just being a broken record. This is broken recordness that I'm telling you guys, this is what you have to do. And it's not hard. It's just going to take discipline. It's going to take you to actually sit down with your books for those 20 hours. And it's not hard to hit, guys. It is not hard to hit. 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at lunchtime, 30 minutes in the afternoon. You could be listening to something. You could be doing flashcards. You could be doing anything, okay? And then you have, you come home, you have 1 hour, and then you have 1 hour. And that's 1 hour working with the workbook. Now, whether you work with the workbooks that you got from the school or you work with the workbooks that I have listed below, either way, it's going to get you that practice. If you cover up the multiple choice answers, and that's the key right there too, is if you're covering up those multiple choice answers and you're looking up the codes by yourself, and then you, of course, reveal the multiple choice answers, and then you find out if you got the answer right or not. If you got it wrong, then you know where you're potentially missing things out at, because you didn't think about this code, or you didn't think about that modifier, or you didn't think about this. So then you can specifically go over those things. So that way you can be like, oh, okay, here's where I messed up. This is where I've got to focus on. Because you can ask people all day long, what should I focus on? What should I focus on? But nobody truly knows you and your journey and what you're doing but you. And you cannot circumvent the study process by, oh, well, what prep programs do you recommend? I don't recommend any prep programs. I recommend you do the good old-fashioned way, which is study with the workbooks. That's all I recommend. There is no prep out there that is going to make up for you not putting in the time to study. Let me repeat that again. There is no prep program out there that is going to circumvent you doing study like you're supposed to. If you're not doing that study and you attend a prep program, wherever you attend a prep program at, it will not help you. There's no magic wand, no matter how good that instructor is. There is no magic wand if you are not doing the work. Because that instructor is not taking the exam for you. Well, can you tell me what's on the test? No one knows what's on the test. These tests are different. These tests are different for everybody. If you're taking an AHEMA exam, that's what I know. AHEMA exams, the CCA, CCS, CCSP, they're different every single time. There's a bunch of different questions and everybody gets a different test. No one has the same exact test. So what you may have on one test, if you take it and then you fail, you're not going to have that same questions when you take the test again. You won't. Okay? So that's just something that you got to know, because if you are sitting here trying to shortcut your way, the test will reveal that you are shortcutting your way. It will. And if you really want to make a go ahead of this and you say, well, Blue, I really want to do this, but I'm so nervous. You won't be nervous if you're studying like you're supposed to. 20 hours per week working through those workbooks and listening to videos on Crash Course. Crash Course is a channel on YouTube. They talk about anatomy and pathophysiology and medical terminology. They talk about all those things on Crash Course. You can watch that video. The exposure to the language that you're learning, which is in medical coding, is medical terminology, the better off you're going to be. And that's all it takes. It's literally that easy. It's that simple. But everybody tries to complicate it and they get into their head, oh, I'm a nervous test taker. I'm a nervous test taker. Some people, I guess, have to learn the hard way. They just have to learn the hard way. And if you tell me that I'm being obnoxious, I don't care. I really don't. Because again, this is not a game. This is a very expensive field. And if you keep failing because you are in your head, I'm a nervous test taker, I always fail, then that's the result that you're going to get. If you actually listen to what I'm telling you and you say, you know what, I'm going to do what she says because I don't know how to study and I haven't really done this before. So try to think about like, okay, let me do videos about explaining E&M, explaining more things about scenarios and things. And then the result that I get, the reaction of no interaction when I do this on live, no views when I'm posting these videos. Okay, then that's not what y'all want to see from me. So let me give y'all what y'all want. This is what y'all want. Telling y'all that this is what you have to do. Study those 20 hours per week like a broken record. And preparing yourself, not cramming at the last minute. Because y'all do that too. And that's another thing that freaks your brain out. Because now you get into that fight or flight mode. And then that's what causes all of that panic to happen. And instead of just calming down and relaxing, because this is familiar material. This is material that you have gone over and over and over, and you have practiced, and you're not going to let a little thing like modifiers freak you out so bad, because that is such a small portion of that test. Have you been reading your coding guidelines? That y'all should be worried about. That y'all should be concerned with. I haven't done that. You should be doing that, even though you will have the guidelines with you when you're in the test because it's in your book. And if you know where to go, because you're not supposed to memorize these guidelines, but what you are supposed to do is read them enough so that you know, okay, wait a minute. I know I saw something about sepsis. I know I saw something about obstetrics. I know I saw something about injuries. I know I saw something about the sequencing of, injuries and things like that. So let me go exactly to where I got to go, versus a person who never touched the guidelines because they want to try to hurry up and get through this test. And now they're panicking and crying because they failed their test because they didn't know, they couldn't remember. Well, you have your book right there with you. These are open book tests. I mean, that's the thing. If you know how to use your books, that's a big part of the test right there too, is knowing which book to reference and which one goes where. Instead of writing in your books, tabbing your books up, that's another thing too. That's a waste of time. And you don't think that all of that clutter on all those pages, you don't think that contributes to the panic that you feel in your head? I see a lot of people that they get so proud of themselves and they're showing their books off on LinkedIn, and they're saying, oh, look, I wrote all these notes and I'm just so glad because I have this. Okay, first of all, if you're with a HEMA and you go to a Pearson View Center and they look at your book and they deem that you have too much writing in your book, well, guess what? They can stop you from going in and taking your test. So now you wrote in your book for nothing. And guess what else? When you're taking your test, do you think you have time to read those notes? Absolutely not. Again, you have a little over 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 seconds, I'd say, with those AHEMA exams to be looking at your notes. That's not a lot of time, guys. That's not a lot of time. And how do you know if any of that is even relevant to what's on that test? Because again, you don't know what's on that test. So if you eliminate writing in your books, tabbing your books, because if you are using your books like you're supposed to, those tabs are going to get in your way. Oh no, Blue, I have to have tabs on my book. You don't have to. You don't have to. You want to because you think that's going to help you. It's not going to help you. What is going to help you is the time that you put in to looking up those codes. Because you know how many times I have been through these books. I have been through these books so many times that sometimes I can literally open the book to exactly where I need to be in the book. Now that even freaks me out. But I've done that several times in front of providers. They're like, how did you do that? I don't know. I don't know. I spend too much time with these books. But you can get that way too. And it's very important to be that proficient with these books. And that's the thing, guys. When you're taking these tests, you should not be taking these tests if you're not proficient, if you are not prepared, because that is the only time you should be taking these tests. These tests are supposed to grade competence, not your ability to guess through a test. Now, that was the thing in the summer where I had a bunch of people telling me that they were taking the medical coding certification exam. This one lady said that she had failed it and she had taken the test like 6 times in the last 4 months. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. Ma'am, you need to stop, because that's just too many times. Now you're just rolling the dice and guessing your way through the test. No, ma'am. If you're failing it that many times, that means that you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. And the easiest thing for you to do to remedy that is to practice, instead of blaming it on, oh, I'm a nervous test taker. That has nothing to do with being a nervous test taker. That has everything to do with incompetence. Now, you can say somebody is incompetent without being insulting. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm telling you that that's what that is. That's incompetence, when you don't know what you're doing and you're sitting here trying to take that test. Well, guess what, guys? Even if you were to guess your way through a test and, oh, I didn't really study and I don't really know, but I took the test and I passed it. I barely passed it. Okay, if you barely passed it, now what do you have to do? Now that you do have your credential and you're out there applying for jobs, guess what? You need to be practicing still, because again, you just lucked out on that test. You lucked out on passing that certification exam, but now here comes the real test. In the real world, they're not going to let you guess through these tests. You have to know. That's why every single place that we go and apply as coders, regardless of experience in the industry, we all have to take an assessment test. Because if you are working and you're building your skill, these tests are not going to be a problem for you. However, if you are doing the same thing all the time, in your clinic or whatever, wherever you're working, and then you try to leave there and you go and you apply someplace else that has a little bit more complexity in their stuff, and now all of a sudden you can't pass an assessment test, there's a problem. So that's why, guys, you have to continue to study. And working through the workbooks, it literally means to open the workbooks, get your notebook, and be writing your answers, so that way you can be practicing in the book. I don't recommend ever writing in books because you are going to need to use this book over and over again. Okay? And that's how you get that good practice in. If you don't understand something, if you went through a fast-paced medical coding program and you don't understand something and you're saying, well, Blue, I don't understand this, and my teacher didn't help me. Okay, so let's take the victim mentality off the table. There's going to be some teachers that are not good teachers at all. Okay, there's just some that are out there that are like that, because they can't hack it with the productivity and things like that, accuracy, so they teach at the school. And there's some schools that do that. They don't care. Some people graduate from school and then they get a job as an instructor. You have no real world experience. What do you know about teaching medical coding? But that's another story for another time. Anyway, but I will say this. When your teacher doesn't have time for you, okay, well then what are you going to do to solve this problem? Now, you can go on LinkedIn. You can post a coding question and you'll have a bunch of people answering you for free. They'll be happy to help you. Now, granted, you're going to have to double check to make sure that those answers are correct. I always tell you guys to double check the answers. Even for me, anybody that I teach to, that I don't tell you to just take my word for it. You go and you verify as well. So that way you can learn how to verify. But if you do that, you post on LinkedIn, you're stuck on a question or whatever, you don't understand something, you will have people answering you. And they'll be happy to answer you. But if you're not getting the attention or that one-on-one like you feel like you need, then hire a tutor. Again, LinkedIn is a great place to find a tutor. You can put a question out there. Does anybody know a good medical coding tutor? And then you'll get a lot of recommendations as well. The table's big enough for all of us to eat. I am a medical coding tutor myself. But like I always say, the table's big enough for all of us to eat. That's why I say, if you don't want me, that's fine. There's plenty of other tutors out there. You know, everybody has a different thing what they do in their sessions. But for me, if I'm tutoring you, I'm not giving you lessons. I'm answering your questions because it's specialized to you. It is specialized to what it is that you need, not what I feel like you need, but what you come to me with. I don't understand this. And sometimes that's what you need. You need somebody to explain it to you. And you know, it's all up to you. But those are the alternatives that you have, is getting help for free from the community or hiring a tutor. And that's what you can do. But again, guys, don't be rushing through these and trying to get through these tests and not really know what you're doing. You need to take that time for those 20 hours, and you need to be real with yourself and not be like, well, I got 5 hours in. If that's all the 5 hours that you got in and that's all the commitment that you think you can do, then this is going to be a very long and difficult road for you until you start taking it seriously and you start saying to yourself, you know what, I got to put more time in, and you actually start making that time, because 3.5 hours per day is nothing. It is nothing compared to all the time that we waste. We waste a lot of time during the day, believe it or not. Whether it is procrastinating or doing this or doing that, there's a lot of time that gets wasted. 3.5 hours per day for 5 days and 2.5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday is a very tiny investment in your future. It is a very tiny investment to get into something that is going to change your life. This career will change your life. I know it has changed mine. It really has changed mine. And I had, again, if you know my story, I had no idea what this was when I very first got into it. And now I can't imagine what my life would be without it. I can't imagine what I would be doing right now if I wasn't a medical coder, if I wasn't in the health information field. I can't imagine it. This is my own thing anyway. So with that said, guys, stop worrying. And if you find yourself worried about little things like modifiers or E&M, which again is not everything on the test. It is a very small portion of the test. You need to look at the big picture. What is the most important thing about these tests? Reimbursement is one of the big ones, but coding knowledge and skill is hands down the biggest one. Everything else is small, and you can look at the AHIMA website, you can look at the AAPC website, you can see actually how many questions on AAPC that they have about different topics. Medical terminology doesn't have that many questions at all for the AAPC exams. You know, so that's the thing, guys. You have to look at that and don't get so hung up on something that is so small, because that's not going to do you any good. That's wasted energy. Just like feeling sorry for yourself is wasted energy. Just like telling yourself that you're a bad test taker is wasted energy. You need to start reminding yourself that you're a strong person, that you got into this, that you completed the program, if you completed the program, and that you are worthy of a change in career. You are worthy of a fantastic career and being treated well because of what you do and being in this industry and things like that. There's a lot of opportunity out there, but you have to get out of your own way. I'm so tired of seeing people get in their own freaking way. It's ridiculous that so many people miss out on opportunity because they are in their own way. I'm not a good test taker. That is the most ridiculous thing to say that about yourself. You don't know because you haven't taken this test. If for those of you who've never taken the test before, you don't know what the test is like. And if you have taken the test and you failed it, well, then guess what? You know what to expect the next time. You're not going in there blind. You're going in there with some idea of what the test is formatted, what it looks like. So that should give you some comfort. Okay? And that's the thing that you got to think about. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and start directing that energy into these books, into looking at the books, into practicing with the books, into watching my videos where I talk about the modifiers, where I talk about injury coding, where I talk about E&M and all those things. And maybe if I see those views go up on those things, maybe I'll do some of those. But other than that, guys, I will only give y'all what y'all want from me. And it's these motivational videos or these videos where I'm telling y'all, hey, this is what you got to do. Those are the ones that y'all watch. Those are the ones I'm going to do. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.